Alright guys, back working on the Jetta. I'll start the video off by going over some of the things I've recently just added to it. I picked up the window louvers. They came glossy black. I really didn't care for them, so I decided to take them white. I think going white gives it more of an aggressive look, and it matches the car pretty well, and it just kind of sets it out. With the black, it was just, with the windows already being tinted, they were really hard to notice that there were anything there. So I ended up taking those white. I will post the link for those exact ones that I purchased in the description. The next thing that I did was I ordered the fog light eyebrows, which are those black things right there. The ones I picked up were a carbon fiber or fake carbon fiber, which it honestly didn't matter to me. I was just going to take them matte black anyway to match everything I have going on up front with the flat black eyebrows and the flat black front lip. They do definitely give it more of an aggressive look up front. The fog lights do not come on the base model Jettas. I did order those. I replaced the halogen bulb that originally came with them with an LED bulb. Trying to think if there was anything else I did before I get into the next part of the video. I mean, the eyebrows just give it more of a sporty look. I was going to make them white, but I figured I'd go matte black and have them stand out a little bit. Added an APR decal on the side. I recently just converted the factory coil packs over. I ended up picking up a set of APR coil packs. I went directly to the website. If you have any questions on that, if you're running the 1.4 turbo and you want to change your factory coils or your factory coil packs for performance coil packs, let me know. I will be happy to give you that information. They weren't horribly priced. I think on APR's website, any orders over $100, it's automatically free shipping. So that was a pretty good deal because my order was automatically going to be over $100. I think it was like 168 or 176 for 4 of them, and they came in pretty quick. So I did do a video on those as well if you're curious as to the model number of the coil pack I ordered. There is a video in my video list of those. Now on to the main purpose of the video. I recently decided that I wanted to replace the factory stereo system in the Jetta with the factory speakers, just to eliminate them and go with something aftermarket, and it's gonna give me the sound I'm looking for. Volkswagen typically uses paper style cones and paper shrouds around the speaker. So the longevity of the sorry, that car totally took me off topic. The longevity of the factory speakers in the Volkswagens isn't really that long. They'll eventually start to dry rot and crack, which will cause you distortion in your speaker. Your sound quality will go down. So I replaced all 4 of the door speakers. I went with a brand that I honestly never heard of, so I ran it by my buddy who's very knowledgeable when it comes to aftermarket speakers and just overall stereo equipment. And I went with MB Court door speakers, and then I also found an MB Court 1000 watt amp, and I have 2 MB Court 12-inch subwoofers in the back, in the trunk. I did decide to keep my factory head unit. The only thing you'll have to do in keeping your factory head unit is you will have to get a module to convert your RCAs to. And I mean, you can honestly find them right on eBay. The one I bought, I had two inputs, a left input and a right input, so I decided, why I already had the front doors apart and those speakers out, to tap into those wires in the door trim itself, rather than try and fish a wire through the rubber grommet in the door back into the car. I just found those same exact wire color coordinations in the factory harnesses that run along the rocker panel on both sides, and then I went and ran them back. As far as the front, the doors are pretty easy. It did take me a minute to figure it out, but one of the things you'll have to do is you'll have to get your trim piece tool and you will pop this piece off. Once you pop this piece off, there is a hex bit in there, and then you'll pop this piece off first, and then you'll take this one next. I don't think there's not any hex bits up here, so you basically just have to take them off, so then you can get around this. When you go to take them off, your door latch will still stay connected to the door, which is kind of a pain. So you'll have that one Torx bit inside here, and then if you look in here, you will have another one. So once you get those two off, you can just use your pry tool and go around the door and pop the door off. And then on the back doors, the same concept. You'll have to pull this off. There'll still be another hex bit in here, and then just below that is your second one. And then just repeat the process like you do on the front. One of the things I would suggest is go out and get a 9-volt battery, because sorry, getting sidetracked, to check which one of your speaker wires is going to be your positive and which one is going to be your negative. This is the factory speaker that comes out. I mean, they're a factory speaker. There's not much to it. Like, you can literally see, like, the inside of the cone here is all just paper, and eventually over time, where they run the glue together on these, it will actually start to separate. I mean, I'm just flicking on it right now and barely any pressure, and it's already starting to pull up. So eventually over time it'll start to peel off. This part here will start flapping, which will screw with your sound quality. Or the next worst case is this part here, which is still paper, will dry rot, and it'll actually just start breaking it and falling off in chunks and laying inside the actual speakers. Now, with doing anything to my car, I always do the research. I went on the crutchfield.com and punched in my year, make, and model. According to Crunchfield, my front door speakers were 5 1/4, and then the backs were 6 1/2. However, that is not the case. I will throw this out there now. If you're gonna go this route of replacing your door speakers, order all 6 1/2s. They will literally fit the same hole, because your factory speakers, all 4 of them are 6 1/2s on the 2019 Jettas, and this is basically what you're going to be looking at when you take it out. They all have the factory plug-in, the clip, and then the one thing I did on all of them to figure out which was the positive and which was the negative, let me move some stuff out of the way, is if you have a 9-volt, that'll be really helpful in trying to figure out your wire positive and negative polarity. So basically you'll just find your positive on here, and then it's just, you'll put one side of your speaker wire in here and you will touch the other one to it. So when you're doing that, it'll actually send a current to the speaker. So I don't know if you can really see it, but the speaker goes in. So a proper installed speaker, or a speaker that's installed properly, when it's functioning, it'll push out. You don't want your speaker to be pulling in when it's doing sound. So then you'll just flip the polarity on your battery, and you'll basically just touch it again. So if you can see, it pushes out. So then I know that this wire here is now my positive. So I will clip both. I will strip this wire and then do the positive from the aftermarket speaker, and then put a butt connector on, and I will do the negative. But that's a good trick for doing all 4 speakers. As far as the back, I did a little bit of a custom install, just to keep it kind of clean. So basically with the back, I went and put an LED in the back here to light up when my trunk is opened, like the factory trunk light normally would. I do have a switch coming in, so once that switch gets here, I'll be able to alternate between them. So like if I flip it up in the first position on the rocker switch, then whenever I open my trunk, the white light will be on. If I have it to the back or second position of the toggle switch, whenever I open the trunk, the light will be red and the white light won't come on. Both subwoofers are shallow subwoofers, which means the magnet's smaller and it takes less cubic air for them. So then you can go with like a shallow box. The amplifier I ended up mounting on the side here, and just running the wires through the carpet, keeping it as clean as possible. The gain control for the gain control remote, I ran from the amp back up front, and I have that right there. So then I can adjust my gain, or my, as the instructions say, the bass boost. And then I also went and hooked up a capacitor, or a lightning cap. It's a 2.5 farad capacitor. I just mounted that there. The main wire comes in off the battery. From there, the second 4-gauge wire will come out and under the carpet, all along the wheel well here. Everything's like clean, no loose wires. Everything's zip tied, and I have P-clamps along the bottom. I probably should have did the video before I put the box in to show you exactly how I ran it, but I ran it clear over, and then my ground, I ended up, there's a hole, a factory in the, there's a hole in the factory metal behind this carpet that you can get your hand up and behind. I took 60 grit sandpaper, sanded off the paint so it was bare metal. Then I went over that with electric diode grease just to keep any moisture out of that, and that's where I did the ground on this side, just for the lightning cap. On the amp side, I did the same thing, so the lightning cap and the amp have independent grounds. And the RF modulator, or sorry, your RF converter, where you'll run your speaker wires back and you'll get your RCA wires. It's located probably like right about here underneath the actual mat. And let me see if I can, and then I just ran everything over. As far as the remote wire, I didn't pull the head unit apart or pull that out to get the remote wire. Basically all a remote wire is doing is it's just an ignition wire. So I found a fuse in the fuse panel that comes on with the ignition and goes off with the ignition. And then I took that wire and ran it back, and that became my remote wire. So in all, that end of the stereo, the part that took the longest, in all honesty, in the whole stereo install was making the wires as clean as possible and basically getting everything into position where I wanted it and figuring out how I wanted to mount it and where I wanted to mount it. After I figured out those two things, then it was just a matter of just putting in the work and getting it done. I say it in all my videos, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I will put the link up for everything I mentioned in this video, the exact part that I purchased. Just a heads up, the louvers and the eyebrow trim will come from China, so you'll be waiting. I think I waited maybe like 2 weeks. It's not a horrible wait, but a lot of this platform, Jetta, a lot of the body accessory mods, if you will, are basically being offered over in China first. For some reason they get all the cool stuff, but they definitely do have a lot of stuff that is that's pretty cool. Some of it I don't know that I would do, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask and I will get back to you. Normally it's within a day, maybe 2 days, and I will add links in for everything that I purchased for everything that I mentioned in this video. So thanks for watching, and feel free to subscribe.